stepping into a different identity that is going to support whatever change you want to make opens up your brain to self-see you in a more powerful way. So it immediately gives you self-respect because we don't believe in ourselves. Like when we struggle with our weight, we don't believe, even when we start something, we're going to finish it, that we're going to be good. We have so much locked in our subconscious mind that we have a huge lawyer-size evidence folder that we failed. And we have a zero evidence folder that we've been successful. So there's so much gravity behind this belief, and it is rooted in identity.
Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck, talking wellness and weight loss for real life. We're here to clear up the myths, misinformation, bad science, and marketing to teach you how to eat and how to cheat. Are you ready? I'm having salad with a side of fries. Hey friend, welcome back to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm Jenn Trepeck, your host and health coach, here with you every week for wellness without the weirdness. And it's actually funny, when I first launched this podcast back in 2019, I wrote the show description, and included in that description was a line about wondering if hypnosis can really help our health efforts. After, I guess now we're 6+ years later, I have met many hypnotherapists, yet none I felt were really the best fit for an interview until I was introduced to today's featured guest. So let me introduce you. She's a clinical hypnotherapist and leading expert in both the arenas of smoking cessation and weight loss. She's the author of the best-selling book, From Fat to Thin Thinking, Unlock Your Mind for Permanent Weight Loss. And she is the host of the Thin Thinking podcast. Her online hypnosis-based shift weight mastery process and smoke-free 1-2-3 programs have helped thousands unlock the power of their subconscious to have powerful transformations into healthier and more powerful lives. Welcome to the Salad with a Side of Fries community, Rita Black.
Hey, Jen. What an intro. I love it. And I am so happy and honored to be of many hypnotherapists.
Yeah, well, it's so funny because, you know, we'll talk about this. It's an interesting thing to address something that people can feel very skeptical about or protective over.
Very much, 100%. I mean, we'll get into my story, but my story starts with a huge amount of skepticism about hypnosis myself. So totally understand.
Yes. Love it. So like you said, we'll start with your story really quick. 2 things. One, I want to tell everybody your podcast, Thin Thinking, is a tremendous show. Shameless plug. Everybody go check out episode 261 that aired February 24th of 2026, featuring yours truly.
It was a great episode. And you do tell them what we talked about.
Yeah. So, well, we talked about, improving our mood naturally, essentially. Yeah.
And you're the pro. You know all about that. My listeners loved it. It was great. Awesome. So yes, 261. Come and check it out.
Amazing. So everybody, when you finish listening today, pop over there, listen to that one. And then our second piece of housekeeping is the Happy Healthy Hub. So friends, join us in the Happy Healthy Hub. Being a member of the Hub is the next best thing to working with me as your health coach. You get a recipe each week delivered to your inbox, curated articles, additional discounts from me and our partners. You get interview episodes like this one in full video, including behind the scenes pieces, and access to the community board where we can interact, ask and answer questions, and so much more. All of this, by the way, is yours for just $12 a month. Or pay for a year up front and you get 2 months free. Wild, right? I know.
Amazing
what a value.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for members of the Hub, your recipe this week is for 20-minute honey garlic chicken. It has so much flavor. You can pair it with anything. Whatever you have in your fridge works. It's also perfect as we sort of move into the spring season, wanting to spend less time in a hot kitchen. I totally get it. So to get this recipe, plus this episode in full video, access to our community chat where you can ask me anything, go to asaladwithasideoffries.com/membership. From there, you click subscribe now, follow the prompts to enter your payment info, create your login to access the Hub, and all of your benefits. Remember, you're going to asaladwithasideoffries.com/membership. This truly supports your health in addition to supporting the show and this community so we can keep doing this every week. Okay, Rita. You started to preview your story that it started with skepticism,
Yes.
So for you, it started with smoking, right? So
Correct.
will you share your story?
Totally. So I was a former pack and a half a day smoker. I smoked really to manage my weight, but I was heavily addicted, come from a long line of smokers. And I tried many, 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 many times to stop smoking, every single method. And then a friend of mine quit smoking with hypnosis. And she said, you should try hypnosis. So for me, this was early 90s, long time ago. And my idea of hypnotherapy was this like guy with a mustache and a polyester suit, waving a watch in front of me and controlling my mind. And I was like, that sounds really creepy. No. But she's like, I did it in one session and I left and I had no withdrawal, no cravings, no weight gain. Like it was great. And you know, when a friend of yours does something and it's easy and you're like, dang, okay, I'm going to go. So I went and it was a man, but he didn't wear a suit. And he was this old British guy, very nice and loved the mind. He was just very into educating you as a client. Anyway, long story short, he said, hey, I am not hypnotizing you. You are all hypnosis is really self-hypnosis. I'm giving you suggestions. I'm preparing you and I'm giving you the suggestions. But by the time I talk to you and then we get into the session, you're just going to be open and receptive. And so what happened in the session was it wasn't magic or voodoo and it was felt really relaxed, but I didn't feel like I levitated. I didn't feel like I fell into the floor. For any of you who watched that movie, Get Out, you know, like you fell that the guy fell, you know, down to the floor and all these amazing weirdo things happen. But I felt actually that I had more access to my mind. I felt very connected. And in that session, he gave me suggestions about becoming a non-smoker rather than quitting. I stepped into this sort of new world, right? So that would be what we would call an NLP, a cognitive reframe, right? So it had NLP elements to it. And I left and it wasn't like, I think I've had many, many smoking clients who come to me and they're like, so I'm going to leave and I'm going to forget that I never smoked, right? Or that I ever smoked. And I was like, no, you're going to be fully aware that you smoked, but it will be like that's now in your past and that you are now moving forward with this new identity. And I'm not going to want to throw up every time I see a cigarette. I was like, that wouldn't be very practical now, would it? So it's not like you are made to do, I think. Anyway, so that's my stories. I entered through becoming a hypnotherapist through my own transformation into being a non-smoker. And what he explained to me in this session, and I'll explain it to your listeners if that's okay, is that only 12% of your mind is really the conscious, critical, analytical, willpower part of your mind. And that's usually the part of your mind that wants to quit smoking or make a habit change or eat healthfully or do all these things, right? The other 88% subconscious mind, which there's many, many things going on in our subconscious mind, but when it applies to behavioral change like quitting smoking or weight management or health management, is our habits, our beliefs, the way we communicate with ourselves and our identity. So when 12% of your mind, so what he explained was you could want to quit smoking all you want. You want to quit smoking for your health and for the money and that it smells and that your husband wants you to quit and all these reasons. Only 12% of your mind really wants to do that. The other 88% wants things really just to stay as they are. So from birth until you're in your 20s, everything, your parents, teachers, life experiences get imprinted on your subconscious mind and you develop this critical filter. And I think everybody can kind of understand this because as you get into your later 20s or early 30s, I don't want to say set in your ways, but you know who you are. You know what you like, what you don't like. And you know that saying you can't teach old dogs new tricks. That's not true. But there's a certain element of we're set in our ways. So what the critical filter does is it filters out all the millions and millions and millions of bits of information that come out our brain every single second, or else our world would be, and it's in chaos.
It would be overwhelmingly, yeah.
You know, we would be switching religions every day and being open marriage one day, closed marriage day. Like it would just be like
Well,
insane.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Just we'll come back to how this works in this piece of it. But speaking of that critical filter,
Right.
right? I can imagine someone sitting here listening, and like you, they have this idea of hypnosis that's like the entertainment value versus
Yeah.
the therapeutic version.
Let me tell you about that because it's actually
Yes.
fascinating. Because I took a stage hypnosis course, and this is like, it's a completely different realm than therapeutic hypnosis. So, stage hypnosis, when you watch, if you've gone to Vegas or gone to a show, typically what will happen is the stage hypnotist will say, okay, let me get some people up on the stage, right? And so they'll get a large group of people up on the stage. And what they are doing is really, these people are craftsmen at picking out the right people that they're selecting. So they'll take them through some hypnotic, somnambulistic relaxation, and they're going to look for a couple of things. They're either going to look for people who are hams and are going to play along, or they're looking for people who are incredibly somnambulistic, meaning they go into trance really, really quickly and easily. So they're able to sort of spot those people right away. They get rid of everybody else. So who they have up on stage are people that can go into a trance state really quickly, or the people that are hams who are just going to do whatever they say. And what the stage hypnotist is doing are trance inductions that are really fast and really quick, meaning like your brain will go into like that deer in headlights doing the strange thing, but it won't last. You don't see a bunch of people quacking like ducks or barking like dogs out on the streets, like they went out from the show into their lives and continue to do that. They're very short term, kind of stunted brain effects. And the momentum of that, because you also hear the audience laughing, and it's very like quick, one after the other after the other. It's sort of like you're on a roller coaster. Yeah, it just gets you in a momentum. And that's what they really count on, right? And they are so in their routine. They know exactly what to do and they get them lying down on their side and everything. And all of that has an impact to get you to play along. So with therapeutic hypnosis, I think that it's the hypnotherapist's job to educate you, to get trust, to educate you about how your mind works, and also educate you about what hypnosis is and what it isn't. Because it isn't magic and it isn't voodoo. It is a really relaxed mind state where your subconscious mind, the critical filter becomes relaxed in the state of hypnosis. So suggestions can pass through more easily, but you cannot be made to do something you don't want to do. Like I will have, at least twice a week, somebody call me and say, can you make my son quit smoking marijuana? I was like, well, does he want to quit smoking marijuana? No, but you're going to make him. It's like, nope, I am not. But, or my husband quit smoking, right? People cannot be made to do what they don't want to do. And so that's why it's also very important to remove the fear in the session before, because people who come in to quit smoking or to lose weight, there's a lot of fear around not just going into a relaxed state, but there's fear about change and transformation because we're so stuck in our world, and our world is very painful. Whatever behavior we're doing, it's painful, but it's familiar. So you have to create a pathway forward.
So if I'm hearing you, I think we're clear on the difference between the entertainment value and the therapeutic value. And then if we're thinking, okay, defining hypnosis, it's essentially, as you just described it, relaxing the critical filter that exists between the conscious and the subconscious so that we can influence the subconscious.
So that and so that the conscious and subconscious can communicate really rapidly with each other, right? Because we all want change consciously, but the subconscious mind is like, nope, I'm resistant to change, and a lot of our fear comes from just that idea of being not knowing. The subconscious mind is there to protect us. And so removing the fear is a huge part of it, and why also using techniques like NLP and reframing things for people and reframing things even for the mind. Because when you're speaking to somebody in a session, you're speaking to their conscious and their subconscious mind at the same time, right? So you are trying to remove the fear and say, hey, we're moving from this world into this world, and this is why this world is cool.
Yeah, it's like I often say to people, we want to be on the same team as our bodies instead of always fighting it. And so
Mm,
what I'm hearing you say is that this is our conscious and our subconscious being on the same team and working together toward the
yes.
thing that we want. Question then, before we get into more of how it works and that kind of thing, what might somebody be experiencing that would lend itself to support from hypnosis? So we've mentioned weight management, we've mentioned smoking. What other kinds of things? Or maybe that's the list. I don't know.
No, I mean, there's a huge list of ways that hypnosis can be helpful. I focus on those two because those are two journeys that I've gone on. But there are phobias, even trauma can be, there are reversal techniques with hypnosis. I don't do it, but I know that trauma, bee phobias, I have worked with people on fear of flying, which is a huge thing for a lot of people. Claustrophobia, a lot of phobias can be managed and helped with hypnosis. Mhm.
Interesting. And when you and I last spoke, it was very much in the vein of, I know what I should be doing. My least favorite word on the planet, should. I know what I should be doing. Why am I not?
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all of that exists in the conscious mind. Like, something I tell people, because I often will tell people, well, try this self-hypnosis technique, because I'm very into just people using their brains more effectively, right? And hypnosis is a strange term. People are like, what's the difference between hypnosis and meditation? Well, hypnosis, you're getting your brainwave state into the theta state, which is just that state just above sleep, right? And so it's just a much more relaxed state. But meditation, you can access that same place. So I believe like there's just meditation is sort of an umbrella word for all these different brain states that you can access through relaxation, right? So I think we get a little rigid about how we perceive it. I think our mind can be, and where I see my role isn't just like I said, oh, lay down and let me get you into trance and let's change you. You know, I love helping people use their minds and understand their minds more effectively and how their minds work against them. So you're saying, well, why am I not doing what I know how to do? Most people, like, my big field is weight management, right? And most of my client students know more about how to lose weight than their doctors.
For
And,
sure.
they know it. So why are they struggling? Well, again, we go back to the willpower part of the mind, that part of their mind that knows, yes, the logical mind says, yes, well, eat this, eat that, don't eat this. We've got it down. No bread today, the whole list. But they are in a subconscious pattern of night eating. Like, let's say, for instance,
Hmm.
right? So they can be good all day, breakfast, not a problem, lunch, not a problem for most people. But what happens towards the end of the day is our willpower, which is our decision-making faculty, wears down, right? And a lot of people can quit smoking for the day. They can throw their pack of cigarettes away, but something happens at night. And it's because our impulse control goes out the window because we've made enough decisions about by 5 o'clock that it becomes a lot harder not to fall prey to subconscious patterns that are, and it will feel like is, I've got to do that thing. I've got to do that thing. It's this pull. It's a dopaminergic pull that the brain gets into. Now, for people who are smokers, that feels like, oh, I need more nicotine. It actually isn't. It's dopamine. It's the expectation that this pattern is supposed to happen, like the pattern of eating dinner and then going outside, like, oh, I've got this craving. The craving isn't for nicotine. The craving is that you expect to go outside and smoke a cigarette, and the brain is absolutely like, that has got to happen. Same thing if you sit down and start, after eating dinner and being perfectly full, you sit down in front of the TV and the brain is start to think, okay, what's next? Like, what am I going to eat? What am I going to have? And it's that agitation. Now, the interesting thing is when you get up and go to the cupboard, it's like if my phone started ringing, right? And if I said, oh, ignore my phone, I'm just going to keep talking, blah, 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 blah. And then my ring, blah, 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 ring. And you're sitting there going, when is she going to pick up that phone? That's so annoying. And you start getting more agitated and more annoyed. So if I pick up the phone and I turn it off, all of a sudden you feel relief. Now, you aren't addicted to the sound of the ringing phone, but there's an expectation that a ringing phone gets picked up. And when you pick it up, you feel relief. So a lot of what habit is a ringing phone. Like the popcorn in the cupboard is calling your name and it's an agitation. You don't need it, but the brain expects that you're going to get up, go get it, go pop some popcorn in the microwave. And as the popcorn is popping, you haven't even eaten it yet. Your brain begins to calm down because it knows that the popcorn is coming. And the really, really interesting thing is the second that you bite the popcorn, you feel it like in all the little, fireworks go off in the brain. But now you're mindlessly eating it sitting in front of the TV, right? Like now the dopamine brain stops the moment you get the thing. And now you're just kind of like eating a bowl of popcorn and you're not, and then you get to the bottom of it and it's like, how'd that just happen?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's such a tangible example for people to, I certainly relate to it. I think a lot of people will.
Yeah. I mean, so a lot of people feel really, really bad about themselves because they're like, why? I know what to do. Why am I not doing it? It's not your fault. It really is the way the brain is designed. All right.
Yeah.
So the way forward is to learn how to leverage your brain, and one of the things that I say to people is practice what you want ahead of time, just like athletes do, right?
I think this is the perfect point. We'll pause here to highlight our partner for this episode, and then we'll come back to dig into how we can start to impact that subconscious.
Sure.
Sound good?
Yeah,
Great.
Sounds great.
I want to share a few things readers have said about my book, Uncomplicating Wellness. Finally, wellness without the overwhelm. A refreshingly simple, judgment-free guide to better health. Wellness that actually makes sense. That's what this book is about. Not fads, not extremes, not another list of rules that you're supposed to follow perfectly. Readers talk about feeling informed and empowered. And finally, understanding their bodies. It's about simple, sustainable habits that you can stick to. One reader even said, "This is the only wellness book you need." I didn't pay anybody to write these, by the way. They are real. You can find them on Amazon. So if you're tired of complicated advice and just want clear, science-backed guidance that feels human and doable, Uncomplicating Wellness is the book for you. Text the word book, B-O-O-K, to 833-801-0500. We'll send you a link with ways to learn more and snag your copy. Again, text the word book, B-O-O-K, to 833-801-0500. Okay, Rita. So I'd love it if we could, because you said most hypnosis is even self-hypnosis, right? What are some things, or how could we start to even make a difference for ourselves after listening today?
Yeah. Let me dig into 3 doable things your listeners can do with their own minds without having to go see a hypnotherapist.
Perfect.
One is really, I think there's a lot of hypnosis apps out there, which are fine. I haven't listened to a lot of them. I've heard a lot of them aren't very helpful, and some of them probably are. So I have no judgment, and I am sorry, I can't recommend. But what a lot of hypnosis apps will work on is the habits and beliefs, which is perfectly fine. But for a real transformation, you need to start with identity. And I'm sure this is the way you work with your clients, is this idea you're stepping into this world of being healthy, right? The way you take care of yourself, it's not working against yourself. So our brains are creative and not deletive.
Our brains are creative and not deletive.
Right. When you say don't eat that French fry, what do you hear? French fry. We don't hear the word don't, right? And so if I'm going to use smoking because it's really black and white. So if I'm a smoker, in my subconscious mind, I'm not just a smoker. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. I'm a, Los Angelian. all these things. And all of the subconscious identities are swirling together and they create my whole idea of myself. So I have many, many identities, but they all create how I see myself out in the world. So if I'm trying not to smoke, my brain is, but I'm a smoker. Like, what up? And then it feels strained when you're trying not to smoke. But if you say, hey, I'm a non-smoker, and you lock in on that identity, it's a beingness, not a not doingness, right? And our brain understands being. Like when somebody gets married, right? In a millisecond, they go from being single to being married and they step into a new world. And that the world expands into this world of being married. Now, they don't know that world immediately, but they're in the world. And because they've committed to that world, they now begin adapting to that world. And the brain begins to reiterate, right? Like, ooh, that guy's cute. Oh, wait a minute. I'm married. I better not look at guys like that. So with weight management too, it's a little different because smoker, non-smoker is so black and white. With weight management, because we have a lifelong relationship with food and it's linked to emotions and identity and everything. Identity we work on it. So anything your listeners want to start with, like making a change, I would open up the world of being either an apprentice of that thing, like I'm an apprentice of eating fruits and vegetables. And because learner identities, right? Like when I'm going to be an apprentice of weight, I'm going to learn the skills of weight mastery versus trying to be good on a diet. The moment I'm a learner, I can mess up and learn from my mistakes versus I was good, now I'm bad, and let me start over again on Monday, right? So reiterating is something that our brain does, and our brain always wants to improve. But there are certain things we get locked into, our brain gets locked into, which is either good or bad, good or bad. So weight is one of those because the diet industry kind of trained us to be either good on the structure or bad. And, then it's very punitive and all of that. So opening up and letting somebody be an apprentice of something steps them immediately when they eat the brownie, instead of being like, oh, I blew it, I'm going to eat 5 more brownies and start again on Monday. We're like, okay, I ate a brownie. That was interesting. Did I enjoy it? What happened 5 hours before? Like, why, did I not eat? Did I enjoy it? How would I eat it next time? It's so bizarre because, like I said, and I'm sure you and I are aligned because we have people in the same world who are really, really smart people who are like, why do I keep doing this behavior when I know better? It's like, well, because this deeper part of you has some other thing. So getting curious about that and learning about it, like if we went to work and we had a bad day at work, we don't like pick up our purse and go, well, I'll start again on Monday when I can be perfect. We figure it out and we stick with ourselves. So stepping into a different identity that is going to support whatever change you want to make opens up your brain to self-see you in a more powerful way. So it immediately gives you self-respect because we don't believe in ourselves. Like when we struggle with our weight, we don't believe, even when we start something, we're going to finish it, that we're going to be good. We have so much locked in our subconscious mind that we have a huge lawyer-size evidence folder that we failed. And we have a 0 evidence folder that we've been successful. So there's so much weight, and I don't mean weight, but I just mean there's so much gravity behind this belief, and it is rooted in identity. And I'm not just talking about weight. I'm talking about any change. Usually if we are mad at ourselves for not having changed yet, we have a lot of pain behind that. So stepping into a new identity relieves a lot of that pain and starts you from a better cognitive vantage point. Does that make sense?
For sure it does.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
So that was the first thing.
First one. Okay, number 2.
Yep.
Practice. So mental practice of whatever. Like, so for instance, if, that scene I described where I finish dinner, I go sit down, watch TV, I go get the popcorn, and then maybe I get so that's something salty, and then I get something sweet, and then I get something salty again, because that's the way the brain goes, or whatever.
Taste buds. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I wait until dinner to go, or, okay, tonight I'm not going to eat after dinner, right? And I come home and I eat dinner, the train has left the station. You're going to night eat, like that. You can't do that. So what I advise people to do is in the morning when their willpower is the highest and they're still in that sleep state, like before they get out of bed, is to run the scenario of what they want to do 3 times through their mind, and not just watching themselves once. This is called the movie theater technique. So it's you watch yourself do it. So you watch yourself sit down in front of the TV, and maybe you get up and make a cup of tea instead of getting the popcorn. And then you sit down and maybe you say, I'm going to fast after dinner tonight, because fasting is active versus like trying not to do something. Because again, trying not to do something you have so much behind it, but fasting is active and actually opens up a new pathway in your brain. Oh, I'm going to fast. That's something new. That's something. But anyway, so regardless of what the behavior is, you watch yourself doing it and then you step into yourself. So you're literally feeling it. You
So the
feel
first time through is the movie theater. The second time through
is
is
you're moving into the
what
screen
you
itself
see.
and
Yep.
you do it 3 times. You don't do it once, you do it twice, okay. And I'll be honest with you, it might take you a few nights to do that, but what you're doing is starting to get your brain thinking about like, this is what I'm doing, this is who I'm becoming, this is what I want to create. And going back to that idea of because this piggybacks on the apprentice idea, because you'll learn probably something from doing it the first night that you can then reiterate and, well, maybe I will keep the popcorn in a different thing and you'll figure it
Yep.
out. Your brain is brilliant. Your brain is like AI. It's like, oh, that didn't work. Okay, we'll figure it out next time and we'll do it better next time, right? If we take that attitude. So that's the second one is mental practice. One, watch yourself first and then 3 times in your body going through it and reverse like the video screen goes and then go back and then
Yep.
do that 3 times. And the athletes do this. I forget what study it was, but they said that athletes who had been injured would practice the plays in their mind, like throwing basketball, and that it was as if they hadn't been off the court practicing, they were able to fulfill it. It's very powerful. Okay, the third one, aversion therapy. So everybody loves a good aversion therapy. So I'm going to give you guys some aversion therapy. These are little mind tricks that you can do with yourself if you want to be like the pizza or the cake or whatever. If you don't want that second slice or that third slice, right? There are 2 aversion therapies that I think work really, really well. So one is the water glass 3 days later technique, which is imagine that piping hot slice of pizza that looks so amazing. It's all melted and steamy. Imagine it in a water glass and it's sat in that water glass for 3 days. And now the cheese is all congealed and the dough is all, fluffy and gross. And just imagine, close your eyes and imagine that 3 days from now. That's a good image for, a lot of things if you're thinking like, ooh, I'm going to be attracted to that. And the other thing is, don't listen to this if you don't want to be really grossed out, is like imagine that slice of cake covered in human hair.
Oh. Oh, Lord.
I know. Well, I said, don't listen.
I know. Oh, man. Yeah.
But so what it does is it shocks the brain. It's kind of like oh, I didn't expect that. It's a disruption to that pleasure, that dopamine. It kind of cuts it through. So
I love these. They're so tangible. And like we said, things that somebody could start to play with right now.
Yeah.
And because of that, my brain is going in a few different directions. I think before we talk about finding a practitioner to do more, we've talked about, you have willpower in the conscious mind, then the subconscious mind, getting down and starting with that identity. And we've talked a bit about meditation and some of these other pieces, but the inner communication is something that we haven't necessarily talked as much about in our time together, that I feel like if we didn't address it, we'd be leaving something out because it goes from identity to inner communication, correct?
I think with inner communication, we all have, and I'm sure some of your listeners have heard of IFS, like inner family systems, that we develop and what I like to call our inner critic. That is sort of that constant negative self-speak, right? And then we have our inner rebel. And they kind of have formed from a very young age to protect what I would call our inner child. And the inner critic is the vigilant part of us. And that's the part that in the subconscious mind, like I said, the primary directive of the subconscious mind is to help us survive. So it is a very primitive part of our brain that is always looking, our brain is negativity biased because it is looking always around the corner for the lion or the tiger or the bear, right? And we've never lost that. So now it's more thinking about taxes. And so you can have something really wonderful happen to you and you experience that happiness for maybe a few seconds, and then you move to the next fear or negative thing, right? So starting to look at how that, for instance, in the world of weight, that inner critic will say, you blew it. And it's interesting because even GLP-1 drugs, because I have a lot of those
Yep.
people in my world, the mind noise that comes from that, even though a lot of the food noise has been relieved, the mind noise, because of imposter syndrome and all of these things, gets amped up in many cases, right? And that's because of this. So even though some of the habits maybe have gone away, these limiting beliefs, which create a lot of pain, still exist. And then the rebel is more the part is like, don't listen to that part. Let's party. Everybody's eating cake. Why can't we? Right. So it is
Because it's covered in hair. Sorry, trigger warning.
let's eat that cake covered in hair. And that pizza in that cup, it looks so appetizing. Right. Let's go for it.
Sorry.
No, I love it. No, but the rebel will drive us to eat stuff we don't even like, because it's like, we're going to be back at chicken and broccoli tomorrow. So we might as well eat everything, even the stuff we don't like, because tomorrow we got to go back to that vigilance, So that energy between that inner communication system, being able to turn the volume down on that, to separate yourself out from that and engage what I like to call your inner coach, which is more the inner mentor, inner nurturer, inner smart part of us, logical, rational part of us. It can be done by taking a breath. And because all of our thoughts, especially those critical thoughts, are habits of our brain, right? 90% of what we thought yesterday, we are thinking today. And the thoughts are having us. We are not having the thoughts.
Right. And that, in my mind, goes back to the idea of the apprentice, because our language can change when we're talking to ourselves.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So yeah, when we're in apprentice mode, we're kind of our own apprentice and we're our own coach. And we start to have strategic and rational conversations through those moments that usually would be like, I blew it. Oh, well, then let's go eat some cake with hair.
Yeah. Okay. So I think people are going to play with this. I'm going to play with this. And let's say somebody says, okay, I'm really curious. I want to find a practitioner. What guidance can you give us to help people choose a hypnotherapist?
I think the guidance I would say is you want to find somebody who's been on that journey. There's a lot of hypnotherapists out there who are jack of all trades. Oh, let me do past life regression with you. Let me do phobias. Let me do weight. But they don't even understand weight. I went to a hypnotherapist once. I lived in London for a while when I was struggling with weight before I really learned about hypnotherapy. And the guy never, like, you'll not be wanting those crisps. I don't eat potato chips. So you really want to find somebody who is going to take a practical approach. So you want to do your homework. You want to, well, now you can use AI. You could probably ask AI at least for some recommendations, but I would say you find somebody who is a specialist, not a generalist. I think Yelp is frankly a great place because you can go read reviews and see other people's experiences, make sure that they seem authentic and real, or Google reviews. I would say you could go to boards or like the board of clinical hypnotherapy. But I really do think Yelp, if you're looking for a local person that you want to go see one-on-one, I would say Yelp or Google reviews are your best bet. Frankly.
Yeah. And I would add to that, tell me if I'm wrong, I would add to that a trust factor. Like, you have to instinctually, feel comfortable with this person.
Yeah. Hopefully they have either some content out there like social media or YouTube, so you can see them and get a vibe from them, like
hear their voice even.
Oh, and the voice is really, really important. Yeah. You want to make sure you like their voice. So at least call them, listen to them first. Don't just go from printed word. And if you can get in a conversation with them or, be in their world for a little bit before you kind of engage with them, I think that is a helpful thing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Love it. I think this is so helpful and interesting and eye-opening and expands the tool belt of what everybody has.
And I think there are so many ways that I am so excited because I think we are coming upon that age of understanding our minds so much better and being able to use our minds so much better through all these different tools, not just hypnosis or meditation, but just there's so many tools out there now that you can apply, and like EMDR for trauma therapy and things like that can really get you very quick results.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. It is time for a rapid fire off topic questions. You ready? No
Sure.
pressure. All right. What's the best thing you've done for your health this week? What's the naughtiest thing you've done related to your health? You know, the salad and fries of your week, if you will.
Oh, okay. What is the best thing I have done is I'll say I went out for a hike with my daughter last night because we really connected, and that was health and soul. What's the naughtiest thing? I probably drank a Paloma with her afterwards.
But also good for the soul, right?
Yes.
All right. If you weren't a hypnotherapist and host of the Thin Thinking podcast, author of your book, what would you do?
Well, I live in Los Angeles, but my mother-in-law lives in Sarasota, Florida. And there is this store there. I forget the name, but it's run by Mennonites. And it is the most cool grocery store that they have, like, just, you go in and you feel so taken care of because it's so old fashioned. It's like walking into the past. I would love to work there.
I love that. That's amazing. All right. Your favorite book on any topic other than your area of expertise, or you could give us a fiction book.
I don't know. I love business, and my favorite book, and your listeners are probably going to know this unless they're into business, which is Good to Great by Jim Collins. I
Great
love that book. Yeah.
Yes.
Love
If
it.
you could cure one ailment, disease, or sickness, what would it be?
Ovarian cancer. My mom passed from that. My grandmother passed from that. So that would be mine.
If you were a superhero, what would be your superpower?
Ooh, getting my husband to pick up his socks.
Well, that leads us right to the next question, which is what's your biggest pet peeve? So
that and people being unkind,
All right, last one.
Okay.
In your opinion, what's the next frontier in wellness?
Well, I think we just said it, that people could be, well, my son works in a lab in Irvine, California, and they are doing some crazy stuff like creating cells out of gelatin. And can literally now create a vein inside of you without opening you up. And I think that is I don't even know what you call that, but I do think that's the new frontier. I like to think that we would just all use our minds way more effectively, and that would be very, very exciting. And I think we are on the precipice of that. But yeah, there's some crazy stuff going on down there.
Wow.
They're doing 3D
Amazing.
printing of, like literally of veins, like on machines. Like
Amazing.
It's crazy.
Well, Rita Black, thank you for being here. Tell everybody how to connect with you, where to find all of your resources, your podcast, all the places.
So I do have a free masterclass called How to Stop the Start Over Tomorrow Weight Struggle Cycle, where we get into making subconscious shifts. And there is weight loss hypnosis in it if you want to test out weight loss hypnosis. And that's www.shiftweightmastery. That's shift as in shifting car gears. So shiftweightmastery.com/free. My website is pretty much the same, except without the /free. Thin Thinking podcast. And my book is From Fat to Thin Thinking, Unlock Your Mind for Permanent Weight Loss. I think those
Amazing.
are pretty good.
Yes. And we'll put links to everything so people can just click. It's super easy that way. Thank you again for being here. Appreciate how you explain everything and the way you give us tools to take action now for ourselves. So thank you.
Oh, it was my joy. It was a great interview. Thank you for your talent. I appreciate the way you ask questions, Jen.
Well, thank you. All right, friends, on Friday in this week's bite-sized bonus episode, we're talking about Jacob bars. So this is a protein bar that claims to be the world's cleanest protein bar. So this one showed up on my Instagram feed, so I added it to our list, and we'll see on Friday if it's worth the hype in this week's bite-sized bonus episode. Be sure wherever you're listening, click the plus sign or the follow button, and then your app will alert you when the Nutrition Nugget goes live on Friday morning. Well, as always, everybody, I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck. Connect with me on Instagram or all social media. I am at Jenn Trepeck, JENNTREPECK. Website is asaladwithasideoffries.com. Pick your platform, send a message, because I love hearing from you, your ideas, your questions, your takeaways. This is also the easiest way to learn more about working with me as your coach. Rita Black, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Jen. This has been amazing.
Well, it's been a pleasure. And friends, if you are not already a member, join us in the Happy Healthy Hub. You'll go to asaladwithasideoffries.com/membership. This shows your support for this podcast, this community, and your health. On top of this week's episode in full video with behind the scenes pieces, your 24/7 Ask Me Anything on the community board. You'll also get this week's recipe for the 20-minute honey garlic chicken. So until next week, consider if hypnotherapy may be another tool to add to your tool belt for helping you get out of your own way. Well, friends, that's it for today's episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. Congratulations for making yourself and your health a priority. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to click subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform. Share us with a friend, and we'll be back next week. Always remember, you deserve it, and you are worth it. Happy healthy.